Welcome to our message recap where we discuss the message from the previous Sunday.
Yep.
Our series that we're in currently is Christian politics.
You sound like you're questioning it. Everything's ending with like the message recap. Is that right?
Yeah, well,
Christian politics.
the series.
Tell us what we're in.
We are in Christian politics.
That sounds better.
There we go.
Okay. And last week's message was about submitting, but you said it was a two-part message. So this week's was stand up.
Rebelling. Oh,
No. It's kind of what you think. It'd be the opposite of submitting, right?
yeah.
Stand up.
Although what we talked about can sometimes feel like rebelling,
Sure.
I think, to some people. So
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you take it too far. Then it is rebelling. And it's not standing up. It can be rebelling, yes.
Yeah.
So,
well, I said enough offensive things over the last 2 weeks.
the last 2 weeks have been chock full of stuff.
Your guys' turn.
Yeah, from saying, I wish that part wasn't in the Bible
Yeah.
a week ago to a slide I'm not going to mention from this message. That was pretty...
Yeah.
I wish you hadn't put that up. But there she was. Yeah.
If you don't know what slide he's talking about.
You should be
you
watching
will.
the message. Yeah. Yep. So I offend people all the time. So I've yet to see Radine offend somebody. So I want to see that. Go ahead.
I'm going to just be apathetic and just sit here.
Oh, okay. Who cares about this message recap?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. As long as I can do what I want to do today.
Right. Exactly. Then I won't offend anybody.
You know, you should have offended dang near everybody within the last 2 weeks.
Some guys, I don't mean to be like rude or vulgar, but I'm going to repeat verbatim what some guy came up to me and said. He said, man, great message, whatever, but how come it feels like I got kicked in the nuts 2 weeks in a row? That's maybe the most accurate response
That's
I think
very accurate.
I've heard. So
Yeah.
anyway, okay. So this idea of stand up, be bold, speak the truth, that sort of thing. It really is kind of the second half, I think, to submission, because submission feels like a little bit like leave it go, and stand up is no, I can't leave it go. It's too important to not. So, as I was thinking about the message, even as we talked during the week, as we went through run through, I talked to my wife after the message on Sunday, and like all of these sorts of questions about how and what does it look like, and what if somebody's not asking, and all these different questions related to stand up. I don't know if I have the answers for any of them, but I do know that the reason our culture is the way it is today is because Christians have not been vocal and stood up. The reason our school systems are the way they are today is because Christians have not been vocal and have not stood up. The reason that media and movies and TV shows are the way they are today is because Christians have not been vocal and not just go down the line with everything you can possibly find that is anti-God morality or values, and it's because Christians have not stood up. It seems like we just want to not say anything at all, even though inside we might be burning and we might be furious and we might know like absolutely that's not right. For some reason we've bought into, well, I just need to keep that to myself, and absolutely not. The reason that so many special interest groups have gotten their way in the last decade is because they've been extremely vocal, extremely proactive, making sure that people hear them. And Christians are some of the poorest examples of that. Now, our attitude should be different than some of those groups.
Sure.
But we have to stand up for what God says.
And you said apathy and being afraid. Fear
Yep.
is the main cause of that, and especially in this culture, in this day with cancel culture and all that. But the point you made that really hit home for me anyway is, if we aren't going to say something about it, who is? Who's going to say something about all of these cultural things and these special interest groups if we don't say something about it? Who's going to say something? You know?
Exactly. And I think it would be a misrepresentation of what God has called us to do to simply stop at sharing Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the most important, right?
Right.
None of these other things even pale in comparison to that. But it would be doing a disservice to our responsibility to just stop there. You know, the early church, their number one message was put your faith in Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God. He's the way to get all that. But that wasn't their only message, you know?
No.
Especially in the time when Christianity first started in the first century, culture, I mean, Las Vegas looked like, you know, the Ozarks compared to culture back then. Okay.
Yeah.
Or Branson, maybe.
Yeah.
Branson might even be better. So, but Christians, not only through their message about Jesus, not only through the way that they lived, but also what they spoke about, what they shared about God's values and the way to see the world in light of all this stuff, absolutely changed culture. And within, within a couple hundred years, Christianity was the official religion of Rome, and a lot of sinful things had totally changed from this pagan worship and prostitutes at the temple and, you know, murdering infant, all that stuff changed. Why? Because Christians stood up for, no, this is not right. We can't go with that. Were they in positions of power to do that? No. They were hated. They were hunted, but eventually it worked.
Yeah.
Well, and like with our friends and family, we're too afraid to lose those relationships, or I'm not going to be able to see my nieces or nephews, or grandparents are afraid they're not going to see their grandkids. And it's this ridiculous fear that they live in. And it's not fair. And I hate that word.
Fair.
It's like you do not say that word at my house.
Yeah. Fair's banned at my house too. We have a saying, fair's in August.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes July. County fairs are July.
Sometimes.
But I don't like that people hold things of value to like toy you to believe what they, or make them tolerate their lifestyle or what they believe. And we can't actually have a real conversation because if I offend you or upset you, okay, we're not talking for a couple years. Well, that
Wait a
doesn't
minute,
help
hold on.
anybody.
Yeah, it's almost like it's being held hostage.
Yeah.
You know, you've got this, or blackmail maybe would be
Right.
the thing. If you talk
I'm
about
going to
this,
use my children
use
as
this
blackmail.
as leverage. Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't happen at all in relationships, right?
No, not really.
I think, well, one of the things that we didn't really have time to get into, again, because each situation is unique, is, again, just more of the details of how do we stand up for truth in relationships. And I know, you know, I've got some people in my life that I know that they're gay, great people, fun to be around, you know, whatever sort of thing. But I think the question comes up with, okay, again, how does it look? I don't know if I have an answer, but I would say a couple things. Number one, are they asking you questions or not? You know, are they asking your opinion about it?
Right.
That would determine how much or how little we share. I don't think we ever share nothing.
No.
And I think the danger with this, like being silent and holding relationships, is even though we hope they know we disagree with the actions, or we hope but so often they don't.
Right.
And when we stay silent, it's just like, oh yeah, there's no problem here. Well, there's no problem in the relationship.
Right. Right.
But there's certainly a problem in, like, I think stand up can look a lot of different ways, but I would say for me, I think the base layer is never give any sort of like inkling, or I don't know what another word is, but like any sort of even hint of, I'm okay with
Acceptance
that issue.
of that.
Yeah. Yep. We can still, you're human, I'm human. We still really all that sort of stuff. But I'm not even going to hint at the fact that I'm okay with.
And that goes for all sin issues,
Oh,
not
all
just,
sin.
The
Yeah.
Christian politic issues that we brought up.
Yep.
But that goes for all sin issues.
Yep.
I am going to love you as a person,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to, I don't agree with these other things.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, and those are the big ones. The
can't.
two top ones were the
Are they the
obviously
big ones
the,
today?
Well, abortion is always kind of big. That's always a thing. How can you be okay with
However,
killing a baby?
We're Christians are losing that battle
Oh yeah,
because we're not standing up enough.
my body, my choice. Yeah, it's
Only in some things, though.
yeah, but only in some things. And down the list, racism. I mean,
Holy cow.
how is it okay to treat somebody different based on the color of their skin?
Better or worse?
Or worse,
Racism
yeah.
works both ways.
It's still racist.
if you treat
if that's
anybody any differently based on the color of their skin, that is racism.
Yep.
And as Christians, we know that human beings are made in the image of God. There's no separation between God and people now. There's no separation between Jews and Gentiles anymore. God views everybody the same. So should we. And anytime we see any form of racism, we should stand up in opposition to that.
Yep. 100%.
Not just racism one way.
Right.
Racism always.
Right. Because I think in culture, well, what we're seeing now with the woke mob is it's swinging the other direction
It's
now.
popular to be racist.
Yeah.
But only against certain people.
They're encouraging it now.
Yep.
And that's,
For sure. That's not right.
gross. Yeah.
That's not right. I mean, culture, everybody makes their own decisions. But as Christians, we need to stand up and say, no, I cannot be a part of that. I cannot go along with that. I know you might think you have good intentions, but what you're actually doing is literally the definition of racism.
Yep.
So I had a guy come up to me after service and he said, hey, whatever about the message. But he brought up something that we didn't talk about at all. He said, I really felt like God convicted me that I've been making a bigger issue or a bigger deal out of the person than the issue. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's huge.
it was already a long message. There's no way I'm going to add anything else to it.
Right.
But I think that is maybe one of the big reasons why Christians have gotten a bad rap
Yeah.
is because, well, you're a sinner and there's something wrong with you. Yeah, there's something wrong with me too. Something wrong with all of us. It's called sin.
Right.
So why don't we just focus on the issue? It's such a cliche. I hate cliches, but
Love the sinner, hate the sin.
that right there.
Yep.
it's my favorite tip for parenting.
Yeah. But I mean, we do fail at that quite
yeah.
frequently as Christians.
For sure.
We fail at that. It becomes less of a here's the issue, and the focus ends up turning on the person. I've seen it over. I've done it. I've done it, and then looked back and went, "Well, I messed that up." You know how dumb that my focus became about the person and not the thing. The issue is what you need to take care of. The sin is what needs your focus, and not directing all of the angst or your conversation at the person. Yeah, absolutely. And it all comes down to that last question you asked. Do I care more about me or do I care more about you?
Yeah. More about others, more about the future, more about culture, more about society, more about, everybody's availability to live life how they. I think sometimes Christians want to. I won't say that. Some Christians, you can decide to edit that out or not. I didn't say anything. So, some Christians want to make America a Christian nation, which I can understand the reasoning behind that, but I actually am not in favor of that for a few reasons. So, I love our freedoms in this country. And if we push to make America a Christian nation or a theocracy sort of thing, what's to say it can't become a Muslim nation based on who we vote in and who's in
Right.
positions of power? Like, what's to say we can't become a Buddhist nation? What's to say we can't become a Satanist nation? Like, if we open the door to highlight one above the other, that opens the doors for everybody else too, and that's Pandora's box. I think the United States is fantastic. I love the way our political system is set up. Freedoms for everybody. But freedom means that I still have a right to stand up for what I believe is right and wrong.
Yep.
You know, so I don't want to swing the pendulum so far to say that we have to force we're not trying to legislate morality or make this a quote unquote Christian nation.
Right.
I believe our nation was founded on Christian principles.
Sure.
I don't think we were ever a Christian nation. But I don't want to swing the pendulum so far into cancel culture and apathy and where we are today where, well, wait, your freedom to live that way does not overrule my freedom to say, no, that's not right.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And that's where we got to try and keep that balance of, I'm not making your decisions for you. I'm not condemning you. I'm not judging you. Any of that. But don't you dare swing your freedom so far that it infringes on my freedom to say, no, that's right. No, that's wrong. What, you know, whatever sort of stuff. So I actually wish, you know, related to the marriage issue, I wish as far as our government is concerned, they would create a new category that covers everybody. Heterosexual, homosexual, whatever. If you want a union in the eyes of the government, call it a governmental union. And let's leave marriage alone. You know, let's leave marriage the term for Christian unions between we joked a couple years ago about whatever the Greek term is for marriage a long time ago, you know? I don't know what it is, but let's start calling it that.
Right.
You know, if you want to steal the term marriage, I'm against it, but listen, we're going to have our own thing. We're going to leave this to one man and one woman, Christian definition, sort of. I don't know. Okay, that might have been a little off topic, but.
Well, that redefining marriage was on the list.
It was on the list.
So-
Maybe that's how I got there.
So that's one of the two we didn't talk about. Rich versus poor was the other one that we didn't discuss.
Man, Paul gives such good practical advice on what it means to help people. And I you know,
Cutting checks isn't the answer.
Huh?
Cutting checks isn't the answer.
Cutting checks is not the answer. He actually goes so far to say as if somebody doesn't work, they don't eat.
Yeah. It's pretty black and white right there.
It's pretty black and white, you know?
Yep.
So, and this whole idea of being generous and assisting others should all be done out of the heart and not mandated by government. And we
Right.
should be able to determine where it goes and who it helps and all sorts of other stuff in there that is so anti what our government is doing right now.
Right.
Are they still handing out paychecks?
Yes.
For unemployment?
Yes. Yeah.
In Minnesota, at least.
Yeah. And
Man.
yeah, there's a few states that are still doing it. Yeah, and Minnesota's one of them. Yeah.
Well, there's many states. There's only a couple that.
That took it away.
Took the
Okay, so if
extra.
we would take what Paul wrote, if you don't work, you don't eat, as it's supposed to be, shouldn't there be a limit to unemployment? Like I know let's even go on like the more merciful side of okay, you know what, maybe you did legitimately lose your job. Maybe it's hard to find a new one, which by the way, it is not hard to find a job in today's culture right now. Everybody is hiring, including us. But shouldn't there be like a time limit or an expectation or like somebody you got to check in with to make sure that you're like it's not just a free unlimited pool of money
Right.
that you can pull from all the time. That is not the way it's supposed to be. And as Christians, are we going to stand up for that?
Right. The government being Robin Hood is not how
That
it's
is-
designed to work.
Listen, stealing money, which I think the majority of taxes are stealing money from people who have to give to people who don't is a moral issue.
Yeah.
Taxes and handouts and unemployment and all that is a moral issue.
Yep.
We need to be vocal on it. I'm not saying we do away with all compassion and all assistance. Not at all. I'm just saying it needs to more closely align with personal responsibility as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of those are godly values and principles. So,
Well, they used to on unemployment. Well, I got laid off. This is some years ago now, but I had gotten laid off for the first time ever. It was probably 6 years ago. And they said, okay, you can get unemployment, but you have to be checking in and proving that you are out looking for a job. Show us that you're...
okay, that's not happening today.
But now it's not happening.
Now it's just, here's checks.
Yeah. Now it's just, here's some money.
Here's checks. And you had kids? Here's more money.
Yep.
Let's encourage you to make more mouths to feed.
And this year was really tough. Here's an extra 300. Here's an extra 600. Here's a... depending on what I think now it's 300. I think they're down to that, but it's still extra on over and above what they were already giving.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It's going to make our money not worth anything.
My husband's an electrician, and
That's the goal.
for them, they had people that would rather just sit at home than go to work because they were getting paid almost the same amount to sit at home.
Almost every industry was like that.
And luckily, my husband values his job and values actually working.
Being a responsible human being.
Yeah, so he did continue to work.
Yep.
Yeah, we went
At Casey's job, they were the same way. Like people just, oh, no, never mind. I won't come back in yet. What? We have a job for you waiting. We can come back in.
we were in Danbury over the weekend, and one of the grocery stores up in Danbury, so there's only one, so figure out which one it is, has a sign on the door that says, please be aware that we are understaffed. And we're, so they're looking for help, and no one wants to come back to work because they were never understaffed before. Now they're understaffed because people are making more money sitting at home than they are going in and going to work. So in a lot of people's heads, it's, I make more money staying here. Why would I go in and spend my time and effort working when I can just stay at home and do what I want and make more money at it? That's
and when we
the
run
issue.
out of money, we'll just print more money. And
Let's print some more.
people don't understand basic economics.
No,
So.
and that happened in Cambridge a couple weeks back. A couple of businesses had to close because they didn't have enough people to run the store.
I heard Princeton. I don't know for sure if it's still happening, but Burger King in Princeton wasn't able to open. I don't know if it's a new store or what the deal is exactly, but the fact that you can't find workers when there's so many people on unemployment.
Yeah, I thought everybody was
crazy.
complaining about not having a job.
Yeah.
There are millions of jobs available.
Oh, yeah.
Go get them.
Oh yeah, and
Starting jobs, mid jobs, career jobs, everything.
and now the fast food restaurants and grocery stores and those type of places they up their minimum to like $15 an hour now.
Crazy.
You can make 15. I was at a Quick Trip, the one
Welcome in the world of robots.
the one in Isani, and they said overnights they pay up to $20 an hour to do overnights at Quick Trip at a gas station. Like, that's good money. Dang,
It is good money.
Well, it's good money if it's worth money. But who knows? Is $20 the new $5 an hour job?
Well, when gas is $8 a gallon and milk is $10 a gallon, good luck with that $15 an hour.
Yep. That's how it works.
Okay,
So,
well,
did
we've veered a little off of stand up, but oh well.
Still, are we going to stand up for that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop us there before we end up going tangential and talking about dogs.
Even more.
No,
We better
I'm
end
gonna
this
talk-
because I got a lot to say.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.